Our applause, thank you very much. My thanks to the Academy for this honor and to Leonard and Aaron. In 1976, Sada Thompson walked onto a TV set and did something that made the entire crew go silent. It was supposed to be a simple kitchen scene, but what happened next wasn't acting. She slammed dishes, her voice cracked, and her co-star later said it felt like watching a real family fall apart. They didn't do a second take. They couldn't. Decades later, that 6-minute clip went viral with over 15 million views. Acting coaches started using it as a warning. What did Sada do that was so powerful it damaged her for years? Sada Caroline Thompson was born on September 27, 1927, in Des Moines, Iowa. Her father, Hugh, edited poultry magazines like Turkey World, but money was never steady. The Great Depression made it even worse. Her mother, choruses, tried to hold the family together, but everything felt fragile. When Sada was just 2, they packed up and moved to Fanwood, New Jersey, hoping her father could find more stable work in publishing. It was a quiet town, but not much easier. That early move stayed with her forever. She never forgot how quickly things could fall apart. In Fanwood, Sada's parents often took her to see plays that passed through on their way to Broadway. She sat in those theater seats as a little girl, watching Helen Hayes and Tallulah Bankhead light up the stage. Something clicked inside her. She later said, "It was enchanting. I knew that was the world I wanted to be in." Money was tight, but her parents believed in what theater could do for the heart, so they made sure she saw those shows. By the time she was 10, she was already acting in school plays, and people started noticing. Her emotions felt real. Her presence felt heavy, even in small roles. She graduated from Scotch Plains Fanwood High School in 1945 at just 17, as World War II was ending. Her father was still working in agricultural publishing. It paid enough to survive, but not enough to relax. Even so, the family supported her big dream. She went to Carnegie Institute of Technology in Pittsburgh, which later became Carnegie Mellon. Tuition was expensive, but they sent her anyway. That decision changed her life. At Carnegie, she fell in love with acting, and also with Donald Stewart, a fellow drama student. They got married in December 1949, right after graduation, and stayed married until her death in 2011. But those college years were not easy. In fact, they nearly broke her. When she started in 1945, only about 23% of drama students were women. The professors were all men. One of them told her she was too plain to play romantic roles and should stick to servants and spinsters. Another said her face looked too masculine for theater. Sometimes she had to play men on stage using fake mustaches because they refused to cast women in 60% of the plays. Even her grades were unfair. Female students doing the same work got B- while the men got a minus. When she graduated cum laude in 1949, the head of the department told her she should just teach elementary school, but she refused to back down. Around that time, her friendship with a gay classmate named Robert Mitchell almost ruined everything. In 1950, during the Lavender Scare, thousands of people were fired just for being suspected homosexuals. Mitchell was blacklisted in 1951 and fled to London. Sada kept meeting him in secret. They sent letters with codes. In 1952, the FBI opened a file on her. Neighbors were questioned. She was warned that her career could end, but she didn't stop writing to him. That friendship cost her 3 Broadway auditions and placed her under FBI surveillance. Then came the blow that broke her family. Her father had arranged a $2,400 teaching job for her in Des Moines, which was great money in 1949. At her graduation dinner, she told him she was rejecting it. Her father exploded. He said she had chosen a path to moral ruin. Her mother cried and said acting was for immoral women and homosexual men. When they learned she had married Donald, someone they'd never met, her father disinherited her. He took back her $15,000 inheritance and told people she had died in a car crash. Her siblings were banned from speaking to her. He burned her childhood photos. That silence lasted 7 years. She kept acting anyway. In the summer of 1951, she was doing 18-hour days at Alnwick Playhouse in Maine. One night during the Seagull, she collapsed. Her lung had spontaneously collapsed from overwork and stress. At first, they told her it was just a pulled muscle. She started coughing blood. Finally, they rushed her to the hospital. The surgery left a 12-inch scar. She needed 6 weeks to recover. Most actors got fired for missing shows, but her near-death experience helped push Maine to pass new safety laws for theaters. In March 1950, she auditioned for South Pacific on Broadway. It was the biggest production of the year. Nearly 3,000 women auditioned. She spent $200, about $2,400 today, on travel and coaching. But the director dismissed her in 30 seconds. He said her Midwest accent was too unrefined. His assistant said her farm girl look didn't fit the exotic setting. Later, she learned most roles had already been filled. It wasn't about talent. It was about appearance and where you came from. She never forgot that pain. It fueled her. In 1972, she won the Tony Award for Twigs and proved him wrong. In 1953, she joined the touring company for Dylan Thomas under Milkwood. She made just $50 a week. Rehearsals lasted 12 hours and she had to build her own sets and repair her own costumes. Worst of all, the director harassed female cast members, including her. He tried to corner her after shows. When she refused, she was punished with smaller roles. She kept going, writing letters to her professor about what was happening, but nothing changed. The audience never knew she was performing through pain. Her courage earned her a second Tony Award for the same role. A year earlier in 1968, Sada shocked everyone by turning down a $50,000-a-year contract for a daytime soap opera called All My Children. That money would be worth about $400,000 today. Her agents begged her to take it. They said she was ruining her future. But Sada feared it would trap her in TV and take her away from serious stage work. The deal would have locked her in for 3 years, filming 5 days a week. She stayed with theater instead, even though it brought money problems and long sleepless nights, but she never once said she regretted it. Around 1970, Sada quietly stepped into television. She had already appeared on Camera 3 in 1961 and The Nurses in 1963. In the early 70s, she appeared on Marcus Welby, M.D., a show known for emotional stories. This win from method acting she learned at Carnegie Tech in Pittsburgh Playhouse. By 1975, she was asked to play Kate Lawrence in a new family drama, simply called Family. At that point, she had just won a Tony in 1972, again for Twigs. But she had also been burned once. She'd been cast on All in the Family, but replaced after clashing with producer Norman Lear. So this time, she was careful. She didn't want to play a flat housewife. She pushed for a fully developed character. Her instincts were right. On March 9, 1976, the pilot aired. It was called The Best Years. In that first episode, Kate deals with her daughter's broken marriage and pregnancy. There's a powerful kitchen scene where Sada, without script, slammed dishes and poured her heart out. It was so real, the crew froze. No retakes were needed. Her co-star, James Brick, later said it made him uncomfortable because it felt like watching a real family fight. That one scene cemented her as the emotional center of the show. During its short miniseries run, in 1976, Family grabbed 40% of the total audience, an unheard of number. ABC immediately ordered it as a full series. The show had been in development since 1973, but executives didn't want to approve it. They said it was too real and too smart for family TV, but once it aired, it became a hit. Sada's performance led the show to 17 Emmy nominations and 4 wins. She won hers in 1978. Christy McNichol also won in 1977 and 1979, and Gary Frank in 1977. The show broke ground with stories about infidelity, breast cancer, grief, homosexuality, and more. Sada fought to include a breast cancer storyline based on her aunt's death. When one episode showed Buddy defending a lesbian teacher, conservative viewers were outraged. But Sada stood by every episode. At the 1978 Emmys, she accepted her award in a very different way. Instead of thanking producers, she gave a long 2-minute speech about the forgotten actors in tiny theaters across America. This award belongs to every actor who ever stood on a stage with just 3 people in the audience, she said. 40 million people watched that speech. Some were touched. Others in the TV industry weren't happy. She was nominated for the Golden Globe 4 times between 1977 and 1980, but she never won. In 1981, she told Entertainment Weekly that she hated awards shows and called them fake popularity contests. She even wore the same $200 black dress to all of them as a quiet protest. Before the 1979 show, she admitted she drank heavily. She rolled her eyes during another actress's acceptance speech in 1980, and it caused a small scandal. In 1982, she starred in A Doll's House and won a Drama Desk Award. But during that production, she found out the male lead was earning $3,500 per week, while she and the other women got only $2,100. She held a press conference and gave Lincoln Center 2 weeks to fix it. Her words made front-page news in Variety and the New York Times. They eventually raised the women's pay. But behind the scenes, some producers blacklisted her for speaking out. For 2 years, she struggled to get work. In 1985, she starred in an ABC movie called My Two Loves. She played a mother upset that her daughter was in a lesbian relationship. It was one of the first times American TV had shown such a story. When it aired, on April 7, 1986, thousands of viewers called to complain. Jerry Falwell attacked the film on his show. Sada received more than 500 hate letters in the first week. She kept them all. Love is love, she told reporters. TV should reflect real life. In 1989, she shared something very personal. CBS had offered her the lead role in Murphy Brown 6 months before Candice Bergen got it. Sada had turned it down. She didn't want to be seen as just another TV mom. She was afraid of being stuck. But when Murphy Brown became a huge hit and Bergen won 5 Emmys, Sada couldn't help but wonder what might have been. I let my pride cost me the role of a lifetime, she said. I just didn't want to be boxed in. In 1990, Sada Thompson took a role that changed how people saw her. She played Catherine Gerard in Andre's Mother, a 45-minute teleplay that aired on PBS on March 7th. It wasn't just another TV drama. It was about a mother dealing with the death of her son from AIDS and trying to accept that he was gay. At that time, AIDS still carried heavy stigma, and the show struggled to even get funding. Several sponsors backed out because they didn't want their name tied to something that talked about gay relationships or AIDS. In the end, WGBH Boston stepped in to produce it, even though they had to cut the budget by almost 40%. That meant fewer locations, fewer actors, and a lot of compromises. But Sada's performance stood out. Her face barely moved. Her eyes were described as frosted like glazed buttons, and yet you could feel every emotion. She moved from cold denial to a quiet, painful kind of acceptance. The show became a critical success and avoided every stereotype. It was brave, honest, and it mattered. Then, in 1995, she did something that shocked everyone who thought they knew her. She played Judge Edgar Haynes in the Law and Order episode called Jeopardy, which aired on October 31st. But this wasn't a kind judge. This was someone corrupt. Her character took bribes, threw out important evidence, and let a rich murderer go free. People who had only seen her as gentle, principled characters were stunned. That was the point. Her reputation made the betrayal feel even more real. It was just one episode, but it proved she could go dark when she needed to. In 2000, she signed on for a new play called The Exonerated, which told the real stories of people who were wrongly sent to death row. But after just 3 weeks of rehearsal, she walked out. She believed the play was crossing a line by using the pain of real people for drama. The directors disagreed. The arguments kept building, and finally she left. The team had to scramble to find a replacement just weeks before the show opened. The play went on to win awards and run for more than 600 performances, but her walkout became famous. It was rare to see someone leave a project over ethics, but she did. By 2002, she was doing voice work for an animated project called Cheers for Miss Bishop, and during interviews, she opened up about something painful. She had been living with severe osteoporosis for over 5 years. She was 75 and had suffered several compression fractures in her spine. She needed help walking and had to turn down many roles. Her bone density had dropped by 35% in her hips and spine. She said menopause made it worse, and admitted she had missed chances to act with old castmates because of it. She became a public voice for awareness, especially for older women. She said the disease had stolen her chances, but not her dignity. Her marriage to Donald Stewart had lasted from December 18, 1949, until her death in 2011. But the early years weren't easy. In the 1950s, while she was doing theater work, they spent long periods apart. He worked for Asterisk. They spent long periods apart. He worked for Asterisk. She was stuck under contract. In 1955, she performed The Crucible at the Barter Theater in Virginia. During rehearsals, she said something about how Arthur Miller's blacklisting related to real life. A reporter heard her. The next day, the local paper ran a headline calling her a red sympathizer. Over 200 calls flooded the theater. Some threatened violence. A cast member had secretly recorded her conversations and gave them to the House Un-American Activities Committee. She had to sign a loyalty oath and denounce communism publicly just to keep her job. It cost her $300 in legal fees, and 3 auditions were canceled because of it. By 1956, she moved to New York. She paid $35 a month for a tiny 4th-floor apartment with no heat. She slept wearing coats. Rats and roaches were everywhere. She lived on soup kitchen meals and once turned down a $200 modeling job from Revlon because it would mean giving up auditions. She pawned her grandmother's ring for $15 to afford subway fare. The ring was worth over $300. She once fainted during a cat on a hot tin roof audition from hunger. In 1957, she got a breakthrough role in The Misanthrope off-Broadway, but backstage was chaos. Her co-star, Ellis Rabb, accused her of stealing his spotlight. He smashed her mirror with a coffee cup and glass sliced her hand. She needed 6 stitches. He threatened to quit unless she changed her style. The director had to hold daily meetings just to keep the show going. Still, she earned the Drama Desk Award that year, but Rabb made sure she was never cast with his company again. In 1959, she starred in The Effective Gamma Rays. The investors pulled $15,000 2 weeks before opening. She mortgaged her home for $2,000 and bought her own costumes. When the show closed after just 47 performances, she was left $3,500 in debt. She had to pawn her mother's pearls and her grandfather's watch, raising only $400. To survive, she cleaned offices at night and did 8 shows a week. She collapsed twice from exhaustion. Paramedics were called backstage. Some producers blamed her for the show's failure and blacklisted her again. In 1961, Sada Thompson was 34 years old and had been working in small theaters for over 10 years. making just $75 a week. She finally got her big chance when she landed a role in a Broadway drama called Patty. It was about Irish immigrants struggling in New York, and she played a poor woman named Bridget Alley. To prepare, she spent 3 weeks with real Irish families in Queens just to get the accent right. Her performance shocked critics. Brooks Atkinson from the New York Times said she was devastatingly authentic. Was when her career began shifting. She brought her deep theater skills to the screen. Her improvisations, even tears, were real. But after just 12 shows, the play closed. People didn't want something so sad during the hopeful Kennedy years. The doors shut, the lights went off, and Sada was heartbroken. But she wasn't done. By 1964, she came back even stronger. That year, she played 4 characters, 3 sisters, and their mother in a play called Twigs. It was unlike anything Broadway had seen. She won the Tony Award for Best Actress, becoming only the 3rd woman ever to win for playing multiple roles in the same play. But as the applause grew, whispers started. People said she was having an affair with the director, George C. Scott, who was married. A gossip columnist claimed they were seen together at the Plaza Hotel more than once. Sada denied it all. In a 1970 interview, she called the rumors malicious lies and said the fallout made Hollywood nervous to hire her. Still, she stayed focused on theater. In 1967, Sada was cast in The Grass Harp, a Broadway show based on Truman Capote's novel. She played Dolly Talbot, a shy woman who lives in a treehouse. But Sada felt the character didn't have enough depth. She asked Capote to change parts of the script to show more of Dolly's pain and past. Capote refused. They argued in front of the entire crew. He told her she was ruining his story. She said he wasn't open to growth. Their fight made headlines and critics took sides. But when the curtain finally rose, her performance still got praise. In 1969, she returned for a revival of Twigs, but something went wrong on March 18th. During the final scene, an old wooden rocking chair collapsed under her. Her ankle twisted badly. Doctors said she had torn ligaments and might have fractures. Most actors would have quit, but not Sada. She wore a hidden brace and took painkillers before every show.